Hey everybody, my name is Chris Lambert, and I am one of the hosts of the Watching the Throne podcast, a lyrical analysis dedicated to Kanye West. This is the first in our video series of StorYes, where you get to tell your StorYe. So this is kind of an example video where I'm doing just that now. So if you want to submit your own, you'll just do exactly what I'm doing, take a video recording, and then answer these 4 questions. First, when did you become a Kanye fan? I became a Kanye fan 2008. I had heard all of Graduation up to that point, and some songs off Late Registration and College Dropout, of course, Jesus Walks, and New Workout Plan. I liked Gold Digger a lot, but I wasn't necessarily a Kanye West fan at that point. Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger had been a big song when I was in college, and that was like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday that song was playing for about 2 years. But I tried listening to the rest of his albums and just it hadn't clicked for me yet. But in 2008, I was in my last year of college. It's in the fall, right? When 808s and Heartbreak came out. And I was in Cleveland, Ohio, in like the cold wind after I just spent 6 months studying abroad in Australia, living in Sydney where it was warm and everybody was happy. Now I'm back in fucking Cleveland, which, I love you, Cleveland. I got a brown shirt on right now, but God, fuck. Not a place where you really want to spend your college years. So I'm depressed as shit. And I kept hearing this song over and over and was told it was a Kanye West song, Heartless. But just like, this is the guy that was making that other music? Like, the fuck is this? So I downloaded 808s and Heartbreak. And, I had known that Kanye's mom had passed. And that endeared me to him a bit because just the year before, in 2007, my dad had passed. So I had felt at that time, like a lot of people that I knew didn't really understand what I had been feeling or kind of going through. They were trying to be supportive, and some did a really good job, some meant well and didn't do a bad job, but there's very few people you could talk to about that kind of thing. Hopefully, unless all your friends have lost parents, which is really sad. So getting to hear an album that Kanye made after that, as somebody that had gone through something like that and could maybe resonate with a lot of the things he was maybe, even though it never really comes up, there's just some sense where you feel connected to what's being said and kind of the emotional resonance, even if the details aren't quite there, or aren't specific. Like, he's not singing about how he lost his mom. But the album just blew me away. I would sit in my dark, cold apartment in Cleveland late at night, listening to that song, typing on my laptop, just being a gross, bad hygiene, bad habits college student. Friends would go out and party, and I'd be like, I don't have motivation for anything, and just listen to Kanye. So I was already loving that album a lot, but not necessarily loving Kanye yet. I still had that, what I call a level 2 Kanye fandom, where I like his music, but I don't necessarily like him. And then the VMA shit happened, and I thought him interrupting Taylor was the funniest thing. In just the way that I couldn't believe that it was actually happening. Like, that doesn't happen. Award shows are so formal. People do the right thing all the time. They just, very good, very good. And Kanye gets up on the fucking stage, and I'm gonna let you finish, Taylor. I watched the YouTube video probably 24 times and was emailing it to everybody. Like, did you see this? Did you see this? So I think that was the moment that I considered myself a Kanye fan. And just started going back and looking at other videos of him and reading other interviews and just being delighted by his personality. But the thing that really sealed the deal and made me not just a fan of 808s, because I'd still gone back and listened to College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation again, and still hadn't felt really that connection. But 2010, I just gotten back from Australia again after living there for a year, and was listening to a lot of Cudi and Drake. Like, I remember the first few days I got back from Australia, I was like, I need more music. Let me download something. Got Cudi's album, got Drake's album. Was just listening to those two like crazy, thinking like, these are so good. Like, these are great. And they're still great albums. Man on the Moon and whatever the Drake album was, his first one. But then Good Friday started happening. And that was music on a level that I had never encountered. Like, as much as I liked these rock artists, as much as I liked some other hip-hop artists, as much as there were just other music I liked, there was just something different about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. The expansiveness of not just the lyrics, but the music. I'm a big classical person. Like, I love going to watch the orchestra perform. And there was something about the content on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy that was kind of the closest to blending what I love about classical and what I love about hip-hop. And that really confirmed me forever as not just a fan of like Kanye and 808s, but like Kanye as a musician. And it was at that point that I started going back and listening to his old shit and loving that, and listening to My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy nonstop and loving that. And yeah. So the second question is going to be, what's your favorite Kanye moment? I guess I shouldn't do that because hand gestures in different countries don't mean the same thing. But the number two is favorite Kanye moment, and I still think my favorite Kanye moment has to be him interrupting Taylor, or him doing George Bush doesn't care about black people. Either one of those things amuse me to this day, to where any day of the week, any hour of the day, I can watch either of those two videos and just think like, amazing. Somebody did that. Somebody actually did that shit. And then my favorite Kanye album, that's question number 3. It alternates day to day. Sometimes it's Yeezus, sometimes it's Life of Pablo. It really depends on what I'm feeling, but those are the two that speak to me the most, just because I think those have overall the most narrative depth in terms of having a full story that's told over the course of the album. And I can just sit down, put on the whole album like I can with all Kanye stuff, but I'm just always so fucking overwhelmed at the end of both of those albums. The fact that Yeezus builds from this like sullen person that's hiding in his ego to mask the pain he feels inside, eventually overcoming that pain enough that he can have another relationship, attempt another relationship after being hurt, I think is a beautiful story. And then getting into Pablo, God, I'm gonna have to go with Pablo actually, because just Pablo playing off this idea that somebody that wants love in a relationship but is so torn with the celebrity lifestyle that they have and these bad habits they formed over years of being this huge celebrity, to then have to kick those bad habits in order to be the husband and the father that he needs to be and wants to be, is such a beautiful story to me. Yeah. And then the last question, number 4, top 5 tracks. Oh God. Always difficult. For 5, for me, it's Runaway. And then at 4, we have Blood on the Leaves. I think that's right. Yeah. 3 is going to be Hell of a Life. 2... No, I'm getting this all wrong. I knew I should have written them down. 5 is Runaway, 4, Blood on the Leaves, 3, Hell of a Life, 2 is Real Friends, and 1 is Wolves. Which the reasons I'll get into Real Friends and Wolves we'll cover on the podcast when we do those episodes, or maybe we've done those episodes already. At the time of recording this, we haven't, but I'm excited to tell you all and share with everybody why Wolves is my number 1. But this completes what is the first video StorYe that we've done. If you want to submit your own, again, get in front of the camera, answer those 4 questions. When did you first become a Kanye fan? Favorite Kanye moments, favorite album, 5 favorite tracks. And then submit it to me at chris@filmcolossus.com or to Travis at travis@watchingthethrone.com. Either one of those work, and then we'll get it up here on YouTube, and everybody can hear your story. You can also check out our podcast, Watching the Throne, a lyrical analysis of Kanye West, via iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Play, any of those things. And if you have any Kanye questions, want to talk Kanye, hit us up on Twitter at Kanye Podcast. And if you would like to support us, maybe you're a fan of the show, maybe you're a fan of this series of StorYes, then you can go to patreon.com/Kanye Podcast and become one of our patrons. We also have a store that's going to have shirts for sale that are unique, original art that we commission that we're then putting on shirts. That's Kanye. It's all Kanye, based on Kanye's albums, Kanye's lyrics, and it's going to be one of a kind, some cool shits that you can show off your Kanye fandom in. All right, well, thanks for listening, and keep it wavy.